Ethan had always loved the quiet of space at night. The hum of the station, the faint vibrations through the floor, and the distant twinkle of stars outside his small window gave him a sense of peace he rarely found on Earth. Most nights, he spent hours alone in his quarters, studying alien flora samples collected from nearby planets. Tonight, however, was different. There was a strange energy in the air, a feeling that something unexpected was about to happen. He had just placed a sample under the microscope, examining the unusual glow of its cells, when a flicker of movement caught his eye. At first he thought it was just a reflection, a trick of the lights on the station. But then it happened again. A shadow, slight and fluid, appeared at the edge of the window. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Movement outside his window was not supposed to happen, especially at this hour. He cautiously approached the window, squinting into the darkness. That's when he saw her. A small figure, shimmering in the dim starlight, clinging effortlessly to the side of the station. Her skin glowed faintly with bioluminescent patterns, delicate and mesmerizing, like liquid light flowing beneath her skin. Her hair floated slightly, as if it had weightlessness of its own. And her eyes, large and luminous, stared directly at him. Ethan froze. This was not a human, not anything he had ever seen. The figure moved with a grace that was almost unnatural, slipping through the window with ease. She landed silently on the floor of his quarters, her presence filling the small space with an alien energy that was both strange and comforting. He opened his mouth to speak. She tilted her head, observing him carefully. Then, without warning, she moved toward his bed. Ethan's first instinct was to step back, but she raised her hands in a gesture of peace. Her eyes conveyed something he couldn't understand at first, urgency mixed with trust. It was clear she needed help. Ethan hesitated, unsure of what to do. His training in xenobiology told him to remain cautious, but something in her eyes made him lower his guard. She was not threatening. She was seeking safety. Slowly, he stepped aside. She gestured at the bed again, her glowing fingers tracing the outline of the space beside him. "Move over," the gesture seemed to say. Though the words were not in any language he knew, he swallowed hard and, with careful movements, made room. She eased herself onto the bed, curling in a way that suggested exhaustion more than comfort. Ethan grabbed a blanket from the chair and gently draped it over her shoulders. The bioluminescent patterns on her skin dimmed slightly, as if she was relaxing under the warmth. For a long moment, they simply observed each other. Ethan could feel the strange rhythm of her breathing, slow and steady, almost like a song in a language he could not understand. Then, to his surprise, he realized she was trying to communicate not with words, but with feelings. A rush of emotions filled his mind, fear, urgency, and a deep trust. It was disorienting at first, but he slowly learned to recognize the patterns. She needed his help, and he could provide it. The night passed slowly, filled with a quiet tension. Ethan found himself alternating between studying her, trying to understand her, and preparing a small meal from his ration packs. She watched him with curiosity, tilting her head as he moved, occasionally reaching out to touch an object or mimic a motion he made. Despite the fear and strangeness of the situation, there was a fragile connection forming between them, a bridge of understanding that transcended words. By morning, Ethan realized she had fallen into a light sleep, her body still glowing faintly. He could see the faint traces of a device strapped to her waist, small and sleek, with markings he had never seen before. His heart raced. Whatever she carried was important, and he sensed danger lingering nearby. He had seen enough in his years studying alien technology to know that such a device could either save or destroy entire colonies. Ethan gently rose from the bed, careful not to wake her. He moved to the small terminal at the corner of the room and began scanning for nearby ships or signals. His hands shook slightly as the readouts confirmed his fears. Unknown ships were approaching the station, their paths deliberate, precise. Someone, or something, was looking for her. He returned to the bed, sitting beside her, and placed a hand gently on the device. The faint glow pulsed under his touch, reacting to his presence. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Protecting her meant more than just guarding a stranger. It meant safeguarding knowledge, technology, and perhaps even the future of human-alien relations. The hours passed, and Ethan worked carefully, trying to understand the device's function. He could see that it was more than a simple tool. It contained layers of encrypted data, alien algorithms that shifted and changed like living code. He realized he needed to understand it quickly, or the approaching ships would reach them before he could act. As he worked, the alien female stirred, her eyes opening slowly. Ethan watched her, wondering what thoughts might run through a mind so different from his own. Her gaze met his, and for the first time, he felt the full weight of her trust. She needed him not just for protection, but for understanding. He nodded gently, as if to say, "I will help you," and saw her eyes brighten with relief. Communication was difficult, but they found ways. Ethan would point at objects, demonstrate actions, and observe her responses. She would respond with gestures, small glows, and subtle movements. Slowly, a pattern emerged. She was showing him how the device worked, guiding him through its layers of complexity without speaking a single word. It was a collaboration born of necessity, trust, and curiosity. By afternoon, Ethan had deciphered enough to understand the device's purpose. It was a key literally and figuratively to a hidden alien technology buried beneath the surface of a nearby planet. The potential of this technology was staggering. It could revolutionize energy production, environmental restoration, even medical science. But in the wrong hands, it could be weaponized, creating devastation on a scale humanity had never known. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on him. The approaching ships were not a threat to him alone. They were a threat to everyone. And the alien female Lyra, as he had silently named her in his mind, was the only one who knew how to unlock it safely. Protecting her meant protecting the future. As night fell again, the hum of the station took on a sharper edge. Ethan could see the lights of the approaching ships reflecting off distant panels. They were getting closer, faster than expected. He knew that he had to act, but he also knew that rushing would put both of them in danger. He needed a plan, something that combined human ingenuity and Lyra's alien abilities. He watched her sleep for a moment, studying the subtle glow patterns on her skin. He marveled at how different she was from anything he had ever known, yet how much they were beginning to understand each other. It was a strange, beautiful connection. He promised himself he would not fail her. Suddenly, a warning beep echoed through the station. The sensors had detected the ship's final approach. Ethan's heart pounded. He moved quickly but carefully, setting up emergency barricades and rerouting power to defensive systems. Lyra stirred again, her glowing eyes meeting his with concern. He gestured at the device and then at the approaching ships, trying to convey that danger was imminent. She responded with a series of rapid glows, almost like flashes of light, signaling that she understood. Time seemed to stretch as they prepared. Every action had to be precise. Ethan guided her toward a small, shielded section of the room where she could remain safe while he attempted to buy time. He relied on his knowledge of human technology, improvising traps and diversions. Lyra contributed in her own way, her small, glowing hands manipulating the device in ways he could barely comprehend, sending subtle energy pulses that interacted with the station's systems. The first ship appeared in view of the observation panel, its sleek form cutting through the darkness of space. Ethan's breath caught. He had never seen technology like this before. It moved with silent precision, scanning for any signs of the intruder. But thanks to the combined efforts of human ingenuity and alien skill, their presence remained undetected at least for now. Hours passed in tense anticipation. Ethan and Lyra worked in near silence, communicating through gestures and subtle glows. They created a fragile bubble of safety within the station, a small zone where human and alien minds could cooperate. The outside world could wait. Here, they had a mission, a purpose, and a bond forged in urgency and trust as dawn broke over the distant planet below. Ethan allowed himself a brief moment to catch his breath. Lyra watched him with glowing eyes, and for the first time, he felt a sense of optimism. They had survived the first night, learned to understand each other, begun to unlock the secrets she had brought with her. But Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The ships were still out there, and the device's true potential had yet to be revealed. The next steps would be dangerous, requiring courage, intelligence, and cooperation beyond anything he had experienced before. He glanced at Lyra, who returned his gaze with a mixture of trust and expectation. Together, they were ready to face whatever came next. And for the first time in his life, Ethan felt that human determination combined with the wisdom and abilities of another species could overcome even the most impossible odds. The first light of the distant planet barely touched the horizon when Ethan knew that waiting was no longer an option. The alien ships had stopped scanning for now, hovering just outside the station, but their presence was an unspoken threat. Every second counted. He glanced at Lyra, whose soft glow pulsed faintly, as if sensing his rising tension. She had begun to move more confidently around the room, her delicate fingers interacting with the device that lay between them. The device had grown more responsive, its lights shifting and pulsing faster as though it recognized that danger was near. Ethan took a deep breath and reminded, panic would get them nowhere. He quickly formulated a plan. The station had small gravity manipulation systems used for experiments. If he could reroute power from non-essential systems to the gravity generators, they could create sudden disturbances in the corridors, slowing down anyone or anything that tried to move against them. It was risky, but it might just work. Lyra watched him, her bioluminescent patterns brightening with curiosity. She reached out and touched the device, and Ethan realized she was synchronizing it with the station's systems. The alien technology was far more advanced than anything humanity had yet seen, but in her hands it became intuitive, almost alive. He marveled at the connection forming between human ingenuity and alien skill. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Minutes later, a small alarm blinked on the terminal. A scouting drone from the alien fleet had approached the station's perimeter. Ethan's pulse quickened. This was the moment of truth. He and Lyra exchanged a glance, and in that instant, no words were needed. They were partners in this, bound by necessity and trust. Ethan initiated the gravity fluctuations, and Lyra channeled subtle pulses of energy from the device, amplifying the effect throughout the station. The corridors shuddered slightly as the first drone reached the docking bay. Its sensors flickered and failed, unable to navigate the shifting gravity fields. Ethan grinned. Their improvisation had worked. He guided Lyra to a safer part of the station, keeping her close while watching the external monitors. One by one, other drones approached, only to falter in the unpredictable environment. Even as they gained a small advantage, Ethan knew this was only temporary. The alien ships were too large to be affected by such measures for long. They needed a permanent solution. He studied the device, noticing a pattern in the lights that suggested it could project a protective field if fully activated. The problem was that the activation sequence was complex, far beyond human comprehension, and any error could destroy the station. Lyra, sensing his hesitation, reached out and touched the device. The glow intensified, almost blindingly bright. Through subtle gestures and the pulsing of her energy, she communicated the sequence to Ethan. He watched carefully, memorizing the steps. It was an incredible display of interspecies collaboration, human determination guided by alien intuition. Together, they had a chance. Time moved faster than ever. The first of the alien ships began scanning again, their lights probing the station's hull. Ethan's hands moved quickly, rerouting power and preparing the device for activation. Lyra hovered close, her presence reassuring, her glow synchronized with the device's pulses. She was more than just an ally. She was the key to making this work. Ethan took a deep breath and pressed the final command sequence on the device. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. The glow from the device surged, then stabilized, forming a shimmering shield that spread across the station's surface. The alien sensors immediately detected something unusual, and the ships adjusted their course, hesitant. The shield distorted their scans, making the station appear invisible or empty to their instruments. Ethan could hardly believe it had worked, but relief was fleeting. One ship moved closer, apparently curious about the anomaly. Ethan realized they needed more than just a shield. They needed to escape. He quickly scanned the station's navigation controls, calculating a path that would allow them to slip past the alien fleet unnoticed. Lyra reached out, touching his hand in a gesture of trust, and he nodded. Together, they initiated the maneuver. The station's engines roared to life, propelling them along a calculated trajectory that wove through asteroid fields and debris clouds. The alien ships followed, but the shield continued to confuse their sensors. Ethan felt a thrill of exhilaration. Against overwhelming odds, he and Lyra had taken control of the situation. It was a testament to human ingenuity, resourcefulness, courage. As they navigated through the debris, Ethan had time to study Lyra more closely. She was unlike any life form he had ever encountered. Her bioluminescent patterns were not just for communication, they seemed to reflect emotion, awareness, and even curiosity. He marveled at the complexity of her species and how it complemented his own abilities. Together, they had achieved something neither could have done alone. The alien ships were persistent, adjusting their tactics, but Ethan anticipated their movements. Using quick thinking, he directed the station to make sudden course corrections, causing the ships to lose formation. Lyra's guidance through the device enhanced their accuracy, creating a seamless flow of human decision-making and alien perception. Every maneuver they made showcased the best of both worlds. Hours passed, and the alien fleet finally began to retreat, apparently realizing that the station was not an easy target. Ethan allowed himself a brief sigh of relief. They had survived. The immediate danger was gone, but the device remained, a powerful artifact with immense potential. Ethan knew they could not simply leave it unprotected. Lyra communicated through a series of glowing signals, indicating that the device needed to be taken to a hidden location on the planet below. It was a vault built by her ancestors, designed to safeguard this technology until it could be used responsibly. Ethan understood. They had to descend to the planet's surface. The landing was tense, but successful. Ethan guided the station to a secure area surrounded by natural rock formations. Lyra's glow illuminated the path as they approached the vault entrance, a structure seamlessly integrated into the landscape. Ethan could feel the weight of history pressing against him. This was more than a mission. It was a moment that could change the course of human-alien relations forever. Inside the vault, Lyra positioned the device on a pedestal designed precisely for it. The device hummed softly, acknowledging its new resting place. Ethan studied the room, noting inscriptions and symbols that hinted at the advanced knowledge of her civilization. He realized how rare this opportunity was, to witness an alien culture's intelligence and foresight firsthand. Lyra turned to him, her glowing eyes conveying gratitude and respect. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a connection that went beyond species or language. They had faced danger together, overcome impossible odds, and proven that collaboration could transcend barriers of biology and culture. Ethan smiled, realizing that this partnership had changed him. Humans were capable of more than he had ever imagined, especially when guided by courage, intelligence, and empathy. Lyra had shown him that strength did not always come from brute force. It could come from understanding, patience, and trust. The moment of calm did not last long. A soft vibration ran through the vault, alerting them to movement outside. Ethan instinctively reached for a control panel, scanning for threats. It was another alien patrol, curious and cautious. But this time, they were prepared. Lyra activated the device's final safeguard, a protective field that cloaked the vault and masked all signals. The patrol scanned, hesitated, and eventually moved on. Ethan exhaled deeply. They had succeeded. The device was safe. The immediate danger had passed. And humanity had gained an ally in Lyra. He realized that the future held endless possibilities. Exploration, knowledge sharing, and perhaps even a deeper understanding between humans and her people. As the night fell over the alien landscape, Ethan and Lyra sat quietly, observing the stars above. He reflected on the events of the past day, the fear, the tension, the collaboration, and the triumph. He realized that humanity's greatest strength was not technology alone, but the ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to act with courage in the face of the unknown. Lyra's glow pulsed softly as she rested beside him. Ethan reached out, placing a hand near hers. For the first time, he felt that humans were not alone in the galaxy. There were beings like Lyra, willing to trust, to cooperate, and to share knowledge. Together, they could achieve greatness. The station remained in orbit, a silent witness to their journey. Ethan knew challenges lay ahead, but he was ready. With Lyra by his side, he understood that anything was possible. Humanity had proven itself worthy of the stars, not just through strength or invention, but through intelligence, empathy, and bravery in that quiet moment. As the twin moons rose above the alien horizon, Ethan felt a profound sense of hope. He had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, not alone, but with a partner who had shown him the true potential of cooperation across worlds. The stars above seemed brighter, full of promise and adventure, and for the first time, he truly believed that humans could thrive among them. And so, as the night stretched on, and the galaxy held its secrets close, Ethan and Lyra prepared for the next chapter of their journey. The device was safe, the alien threat had been avoided, and a new alliance,